Before we continue, if you have not watched Part 1 yet, it may help to begin there, because the events we are about to explore connect closely to the earlier investigation. Part 1 examined a strange experience reported in the gardens of Versailles, an event involving perception, memory, and the limits of observation. Now, we move to a very different location, and a mystery that unfolded far from land. In the year 1872, a ship was discovered drifting in the Atlantic Ocean. Its sails were partially set, its cargo remained intact, but the crew was gone, completely gone. The vessel was called the Mary Celeste. It had departed from New York City in November of that year, bound for Genoa in Italy. On board were 10 people: the captain, Benjamin Briggs, his wife, their young daughter, and 7 crew members. The ship carried a cargo of industrial alcohol. Nothing about the voyage appeared unusual. But 1 month later, another vessel spotted the Mary Celeste drifting alone. The discovery occurred near the Azores Islands. When sailors boarded the ship, they found something deeply puzzling. The cargo was largely untouched. Food and water supplies were still present. Personal belongings remained in cabins. The captain's navigation instruments were missing. So was the ship's lifeboat. But there were no signs of struggle, no damage from storms, no evidence of piracy. It was as if the crew had simply left and never returned. The ship's logbook offered few clues. Its final entry was routine. Nothing alarming, nothing unusual. Investigators tried to reconstruct the sequence of events. Perhaps the crew feared an explosion from alcohol fumes. Perhaps they abandoned the ship temporarily, but if so, why was the vessel left in good condition? Why was the cargo untouched? Why did no trace of the lifeboat ever appear? Over the years, many theories emerged: mutiny, piracy, storm damage, even sea monsters. But none of these explanations matched the physical evidence. Modern researchers later suggested a more plausible theory. Alcohol vapors may have escaped from damaged barrels. These vapors can create invisible explosive gases. The crew might have feared an imminent explosion. In panic, they may have temporarily abandoned the ship, but the ship itself continued drifting, eventually separating from the lifeboat. If that happened, the crew would have been stranded at sea, never able to return. It is a logical explanation, but it still relies on several assumptions, and the full sequence of events remains uncertain. Like the Versailles incident, the Mary Celeste story represents a documented mystery, not supernatural, but unresolved. Events like these highlight an important reality. Science does not require complete certainty. Instead, science works with probabilities. Evidence is gathered, hypotheses are tested, but sometimes the available information is incomplete. Historical records are rarely perfect. Witness testimony can be flawed. Physical evidence may disappear over time. In the case of the Mary Celeste, key evidence was never recovered. The lifeboat vanished. The crew disappeared. Without those pieces, any explanation remains partially speculative. The Versailles incident presents a different challenge. There, the problem is not missing physical evidence. It is the nature of human perception. Our senses constantly filter reality. The brain selects certain details, ignores others, reconstructs patterns, and occasionally fills gaps with assumptions. This system works extremely well most of the time, but under unusual conditions, it can produce interpretations that feel absolutely real, even when they may not be entirely accurate. When people encounter unexplained events, the mind instinctively searches for meaning. This tendency has deep evolutionary roots. Humans evolved as pattern recognition specialists. Recognizing patterns helped our ancestors survive. The sound of rustling grass might indicate a predator. A change in the sky might signal approaching weather. The brain learned to detect patterns quickly, sometimes even too quickly. Psychologists call this phenomenon pattern over-detection. We often perceive meaningful patterns in random information. Faces in clouds, shapes in shadows, connections between unrelated events. When something unusual happens, the brain attempts to organize it into a narrative, a story that explains the experience. Science often gives the impression of certainty, precise equations, accurate predictions, technological control, but beneath that confidence lies a quieter truth. Knowledge is always provisional. Every scientific model is an approximation, a useful description of reality. History is filled with moments like these, moments where something unusual occurred, witnessed, recorded, investigated, yet never fully resolved, not because the events were impossible, but because the evidence was incomplete, or perception was uncertain, or time erased the missing pieces. These mysteries remind us that understanding is always evolving. Each generation improves its tools, refines its theories, discovers new explanations for old puzzles, and sometimes questions that once seemed mysterious become completely ordinary, but other questions remain open, waiting for new perspectives, new evidence, or perhaps new ways of thinking. So what do you think? Were these events simply coincidences, misinterpretations of ordinary situations? Or do they reveal something about reality that we still struggle to understand? If you enjoy exploring mysteries like this, consider subscribing for more quiet journeys to the edge of the known world.